song. Woody Guthrie. That's good morning, Sarah. I see Dee's with us now too. Good morning, all. Welcome to One Heart, One Mind Center for Spiritual Living. And happy 4th of July. And Robert Brown is our practitioner of the day again today. And so I'm going to invite him to do our opening prayer.
Well, good morning, everybody, and a happy 4th of July. I invite you to close your eyes and relax. Take a deep centering breath. And know with me that there is only one power, one presence, one creative consciousness. And we are one with it. For this minute and the next minute and all the minutes to follow, and all the minutes that have already gone by. I give great thanks for this Sunday morning, this absolutely perfect day, for this absolutely perfect Sunday service of One Heart, One Mind. I say happy birthday, USA. And I give great thanks for this country and for each and every one of you. My love goes out to all of you. I know these truths to be so. I am very, very grateful for them. I am very, very grateful for our oneness. So I release my words into the law, knowing they are done. And together we say, and so it is. And today's quote is actually Ernest Holmes' My Prayer for My Country. It's a bit long, but certainly appropriate for this birthday of our great nation. Believing in the divine destiny of the United States of America and in the preservation of liberty, security, and self-expression for all, I offer this, my prayer for my country. I know that divine intelligence governs the destiny of the United States of America, directing the thought and the activity of all who guide its affairs. I know that success, prosperity, and happiness are the gifts of freedom and are the divine heritage of everyone in this country. I know that success, I know that success, prosperity, and happiness are now operating in the affairs of every individual in this country. I know that divine guidance enlightens the collective mind of the people of this country, causing it to know that economic security may come to all without the loss of either personal freedom or individual self-expression. I know that no one can believe or be led to believe that freedom must be surrendered in order to ensure economic security for all. The all-knowing mind contains the answer to every problem which confronts this country. I know that every leader in this country is now directed by this all-knowing mind and has the knowledge of a complete solution to every problem. Each is compelled to act upon this knowledge to the end that abundance, security, and peace shall come to all. And I know that this spiritual democracy shall endure, guaranteeing to everyone in this country personal liberty, happiness, and self-expression. And so it is. Now, join me in a moment of silence, maybe a minute of silence, and focus on those ideas expressed in Ernest Holmes' prayer. Success, prosperity, and happiness. Personal liberty, self-expression. Economic security. Know that we have them. Know that we enjoy them. Know that we are surrounded by millions of other citizens of this country and of the world who enjoy those as well. And if they aren't enjoying them now, they deserve to enjoy them and will enjoy them. And as we come back into the room, into the world of awakeness and awareness, let's read together July's affirmation. I live life within the freedom of God. I freely participate with God's nature and God's law. I walk in gratitude for this inner presence and power. I am enveloped in the one living spirit, which is the author of my freedom, peace, wholeness, and joy. And so it is. And now I think we have some more wonderful music.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Michelle is going to put something up in a minute. But every year, this is such a special day when it comes. And this is one of the most beautiful songs. It's so spirit felt. And so I hope you enjoy this.
Happy 4th of July, everyone. It's always special. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of gray, for purple mountains' majesty above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crowned thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for pilgrim feet whose stern, impassioned stress a thoroughfare for freedom beat across the wilderness. Oh, America, America, God mend thy every flaw, confirm thy soul in self-control, thy liberty in law. was proved in liberating strife, who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. America, America, may God thy gold refine, till all success be nobleness, and every gain divine. One more time, first verse. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber ways of grain, for purple mountains' majesty above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea, from sea to shining sea. God bless us all.
Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you for that so much, Richard. I enjoyed it. It's such a beautiful song. Oh, so here we are again. Good morning. Welcome to One Heart, One Mind for Spiritual Living's online Sunday service. And happy 4th of July. You know, I personally have some very fond childhood memories of the 4th of July. I hope that you do too. Not only was it a great day where we had this big picnic with our extended family when I was young, but we got to eat hot dogs and cake, and we got to do those little sparklers. And that was all so much fun. But there was also this overarching feeling of celebration. I remember just that in the air, there was just this feeling of goodness and a feeling that we belong to something bigger than just ourselves. And that something bigger was good. And there was freedom in the air, and a freedom for what was possible, new possibilities and opportunities. And it just felt good. It really felt good. I loved the 4th of July. And then as I got older, I became aware that while the ideals and the values and the principles that our nation is founded on are good, the same freedoms and opportunities that were available to me weren't always available to everyone. You know, I discovered that as a nation, we still have a long way to go to get to the place where everyone has the same access to these basic freedoms and opportunities. But you know what? I truly believe that we're steadily moving in the direction of equal access, of fulfilling the great promise of our nation. Because when I look around, I see that the things that aren't in alignment with these principles are rising up, and sometimes in a pretty dramatic way, to get our attention and for us to heal them, you know, to bring into the wholeness of spirit, into alignment with the principles that our nation was founded on, these things that aren't. So I'm reminded of that clever line that it's from John Lennon, actually. He said, everything will be all right in the end. And if it's not all right, then it's not the end. And we are clearly not at the end. You know, I believe that we as a nation, as a people, as one humanity, still have a lot of growing and spiritual maturing to do before there is true equality and justice and opportunity for everyone, regardless, as we always say, of our race or religion or age, gender, or sexual orientation, or any other differences that we might see or perceive. And even though when we look around our nation today, we still see plenty of things that need to change to meet this high intention set by the writers of the Declaration of Independence and the framers of the Constitution, I do think we're making progress. And this idea of spiritual progress and spiritual expression is at the heart of the science of mind philosophy that I live and teach and share with you. The science of mind is about empowering the spiritual truth that's within every individual, empowering the spiritual greatness and the spiritual magnificence that's in each and every one of us, even though sometimes it might feel like it's hiding from view. And it's about supporting everyone in knowing that within them is a spiritual endowment, to use the words of our framers, of freedom, the freedom to co-create lives of health and wholeness and prosperity and happiness, of contentment. And I believe that it was this same acknowledgement of our individual freedom that our country was founded on, however flawed the actual execution of these principles has been. Because, at the time of our nation's founding, we know that these principles did not apply to women. It didn't apply to Indigenous people or people of color. The founders of our nation intended to empower individuals through what they called the endowment of unalienable rights, even if at the time they really only applied to white males and I think landowners. But they did have the insight, I think, to see that freedom was an inherent right and that these unalienable rights couldn't be taken away. And I'm sure that you're familiar with the famous words in the Declaration of Independence, brilliantly, I might say, written by Thomas Jefferson. I have them. I'm going to share them here. Let me see if I can find what I want to share. Here we go. We all know these words. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Beautiful words. And at the time of our nation's birth, the framers were concerned with issues like taxation without representation, religious freedom, that religious beliefs were not mandated by the state, freedom from a monarchy, and freedom to pursue happiness, to pursue anything that we wanted and that they wanted in their lives. And of course, our focus has changed over the last 245 years. It's expanded to make opportunities for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness available to all people, to be much more inclusive. So in a month where our theme happens to be pulled by vision, it's worth noting that our founders had a powerful and clear vision for our young country. I might even go so far as to say it was a divinely inspired vision for our country, even though it really hasn't been fully realized even today. But at this time of the year, we have the perfect opportunity. Maybe we might even call it a responsibility to stop and take stock of the great vision that was laid out for our country and how we as citizens and as metaphysicians can expand both individually and collectively to live that great vision. You know, we stand on the shoulders, the effort and the dedication of those who have come before us, and we are invited. I might even go so far as to say we're obligated to hold the great vision of freedom and inclusion and justice for all. You know, I'm sure that you have noticed that there seems to be a great deal of frustration and even discouragement with how slowly and inequitably this great vision is unfolding. I know I certainly get frustrated sometimes when I see the massive resistance that rises up from people who are afraid of change and feel threatened by the shifting norms of our times in our country and the world, really. And we're experiencing a very polarized nation, and that polarization often turns into rancor and spite and partisan politics, and it only allows for a very meager amount of progress to take place. And it sometimes feels, you might share this feeling with me, like we're stuck in the mire and the muck of division, and that we just can't seem to move forward or move past this stuff. And if you're anything like me, and you probably are, you wonder, what can I do? What can we do? And as practitioners of this science of mind philosophy, I think we know the answer. You know, we're supported by the great vision of our founders, the vision that they had for equality for all, even if, as I said, it hasn't been fully realized yet. And we're also supported by the very spiritual principles and practices, the tools that we practice in the science of mind philosophy. And this is the way forward. And I have to say that I'm encouraged, maybe a little bit frustrated, but encouraged when I look back at our nation's history and I realize how slowly change has actually progressed so far. That maybe there's still hope, even though it's moving slowly. Maybe we can accelerate it, because, you know, it was 87 years after the founding of our country that Abraham Lincoln called for the emancipation of the slaves. 87 years before that even took place. And then it was another 100 years before Martin Luther King Jr. stood on the Lincoln Memorial steps and gave his "I Have a Dream" speech, which really energized the civil rights movement. And in that speech, he reiterated the foundational principles of our nation. He said, "And one day, this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its sacred creed." We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal. He reiterated but expanded on the vision to be much more inclusive and much more diverse. Still a work in progress, but remember, if it's not all right, then it's not the end. And we are the ones who are called on to continue to carry and to move forward this great vision. And we're empowered to use the principles and the practices that we have at our disposal to expand the vision. And as always, where do we begin? We begin right where we are. We begin within consciousness. We begin by becoming aware of where it is in us that we have placed limits on what we think is possible for our world. You know, again, if you're anything like me, you see the things that are going on in our country and you go, oh, we're never going to move forward. We place those limiting beliefs or barriers right there. And that is not helpful. To remove the obstacles of our thinking and feeling and our actions, we have to live in what is possible, to live in the unlimited potential of God, the unlimited potential of the field itself. We have to hold our attention on that and not get, and this is difficult sometimes, and not get frustrated and daunted by what we see around us, but to every day show up and live in the consciousness of freedom, in the consciousness of diversity and inclusion and access for all. We have to live in that consciousness and participate with the nature of the law of God and of universal good, to literally be and become and feel the change that we want to see in consciousness. And I heard this wonderful story that illustrates this idea of moving beyond the limits of what we think is possible for us. And I would really like to share it with you. It's kind of sweet. So in World War I, there was an American troop, a unit. I don't know what they're, a unit of troops. And they were stationed in a very small village in Italy. And during that time, the chaplain of the American unit and the Catholic priest who served in this small community, in this small village, they became very close friends. And they shared their hearts and the challenges that they faced in their roles as spiritual leaders. And they became fast friends. They really became family. But eventually, the American unit got their orders to leave the small village, and they did. And shortly after they left, word came back to the village that the chaplain had been killed. And the Catholic priest was deeply grieved at the loss of his newfound friend. And because the priest knew that the chaplain had no family, he set out to get permission from the American military authorities to bury the chaplain in the Catholic cemetery in their small village. And he did. He got permission from the military to bring the body back and to bury him in the Catholic cemetery. But he wasn't able to get permission from the Catholic Church to bury a non-Catholic in the Catholic cemetery. So instead, the priest decided to bury the chaplain just outside of the cemetery, and he did. And several years later, one of the soldiers that was part of the American unit that stayed in the village came back for a visit, and he found a very older, much older Catholic priest, but he was still serving there. And knowing the story of where the chaplain had been buried, the soldier asked if he could visit his grave. And so the chaplain said, the priest said, of course, you can visit the chaplain's grave. And so he found it in the cemetery. And he noticed that it was inside the cemetery. And so he went back and he questioned the priest and he said, so you finally got permission to bury the chaplain inside the Catholic cemetery? And the priest said, oh, no, I didn't get permission to bury him in the cemetery. But nobody told me that I couldn't move the fence. So I thought that was kind of a cute story. And what it brings to mind for me is that I have to ask myself, where have I put up my fence? And am I willing to expand what my fence will include? You know, we teach in this philosophy that we are free to choose where we place our attention, and because we are these conscious spiritual beings, we understand that where our attention goes, energy flows, and that's how we create with the law. And so we're called to be conscious of where we place our fences. What are the limits that we set on what is possible? What limits do I place on the infinite mind? Honestly, can I place limits on the infinite mind, or is only in my mind? And where am I willing to expand my fence, to move my fence line out, to include more, to carry on the vision of our great nation, and to be steadfast in my commitment that all people are endowed by their Creator with unalienable rights. And among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That includes so much. Life is infinite. Liberty is the nature of the divine, infinite. And the pursuit of happiness, infinite in its scope. And you notice that it says all, not just a selected few, but all. And to continue the legacy of unfoldment for ourselves individually, for our nation collectively, we have to move our fences past our previous definition of all. Because I know for sure that because of our oneness with spirit, until everyone is free, none of us is free. And that because of our oneness in spirit, everyone is moving towards that desire for freedom. I have this great Holmes quote that I want to share with you. It wouldn't be a Sunday service if we didn't share a Holmes quote. So let me get that up for you. Oh, and it's his free, and you've probably heard this one before. It's a pretty well-known Holmes quote, but I love it. The divine plan is one of freedom. Bondage is not God ordained. Freedom is the birthright of every living soul. All instinctively feel this. The truth points to freedom under law. And here it is. And this, I think, is very similar to what the framers had in mind. Thus, the inherent nature of freedom of mankind, I'm sorry, I misspoke. Thus, the inherent nature of mankind is forever seeking to express itself in terms of freedom, of a love beyond our fondest dreams, of a freedom which the soul craves. Wow. I feel my soul craves freedom. I feel that. Do you feel that draw towards expressing yourself in a way that is unlimited and free? And so I know that if that is true for me, that it is probably true for you. And sometimes when I listen to the news or I see things that seem out of alignment with the principles that our nation was founded on and the principles of the science of mind philosophy, I can lapse into either complete and total cynicism, feeling as if nothing is ever going to change. We're never going to get it together. Or I can sometimes get caught up in a kind of like fairy tale nostalgia. Oh, remember when we didn't have this kind of division and hatred? I'm thinking back to my childhood experience of the 4th of July. And honestly, I know just from knowing history that it wasn't any better back then. Actually, it was probably worse. I just wasn't looking at it from the perspective of those who were disenfranchised and left out of the American dream. But, now I realize that the only way to move forward is to acknowledge what was and what is without judgment, blame, or feeling victimized in any way, and to be present. And when we're present to what is, we become willing to let go of those old beliefs and systems that no longer work and don't support the original vision that our framers had, that don't support that original vision of that everyone is endowed with the same rights and opportunities. When we're present, we really open the door to what can be and to what is in alignment with the nature of good, our nature, and that we participate with the nature of good and demonstrate it in our lives. And when we demonstrate it in our lives, we open that possibility for everyone. We include everyone. There's another Holmes quote that I think really speaks to this idea. It's from the Living the Science of Mind book. I'm going to pull it up here for you. And he talks about not turning away from what is, but acknowledging what is and letting that be the place that we move from or move forward from. So he said in the Science of Mind, we do not say everything is all right when it is all wrong. We do not say peace when there is no peace, but rather we try to discover what is wrong and why we do not have peace. We do not say that people are not poor, sick, or unhappy. We ask why these things should be if the original cause of all things is harmonious, perfect, radiant, and happy. Isn't that true? I think we acknowledge what is so that we know where we want to move. We don't say I don't have a broken leg or you're not sad or someone didn't die. We acknowledge what is without judging or calling it right, wrong, good, or bad so that we can move forward. so that we can move forward. And it takes a commitment to ask why things are out of alignment with the nature of our Creator. It takes a commitment to bring them back into the alignment with the nature of good. And that means making a commitment to do what it takes to stay connected and grounded with the nature of life, and to consciously participate with the great law of creation by daily being aware of what we think, how we feel, and what we do. And I have another great story that I'd like to share with you today to bring my talk to a close. And I think it brings this idea home of commitment, but that all things are possible, but to use what has come before, to use our personal experience, the wisdom of our personal experiences and our collective experiences to move us forward into the new vision, into the higher vision, the greater vision, to demonstrate that in our lives. It's funny, I've noticed that when I'm really kind of in the flow, sometimes I get there when I'm preparing the message for Sunday. And I often get very intuitive listening to where I'm guided to look. And as I was preparing today's message, I was guided to get this book off my bookshelf that has been there for years and that I have not picked up for years. And I found this story in it. I picked it up, and you probably know the book. It's an old book. It's called Kitchen Table Wisdom. It's by Rachel Naomi Remen. And in it, I found this story called At Last. And I'm just going to read it to you because I found her words just so clear and beautiful. And the idea of being committed to moving forward, even when we have to do hard things. And so I'm going to read that for you right now. I put it all on one piece of paper here. So I'm going to read it to you. And she wrote, 2 days before my mother's 80th birthday, I asked her how she wanted to spend the day. I want to climb to the top of the Statue of Liberty, she replied. Is there an elevator? My mother looked at me. I want to climb the stairs, she said. She had lived in New York City for almost 80 years, but she had never had this experience. She clearly remembered her first view of the Liberty when she sailed into the New York harbor from Russia. She had been 5 years old then. Now, of course, she had a severe heart condition, and there were 342 steps to the top. Undaunted, I realized we could do it 3 or 4 steps at a time, resting in between. We could take her nitroglycerin and simply allow all day. When I proposed this to Mom, she was delighted. During the 6-hour ascent, I had many misgivings. How had I gotten myself into this crazy thing, climbing the Statue of Liberty with an 80-year-old woman with severe heart disease? But it was her wish, and so we continued, a few steps at a time. She may have had angina, but she also had an iron will. I think half of New York must have passed us on those stairs. Finally, unbelievably, we were 6 or 7 steps from the top. As we stood there, taking what must have been our 300th time out, my mother eyed the last few steps between her and her goal with resentment. Why, she said, couldn't we have done these steps first? In thinking of this story now, I remember all the times that I too have resented the climb, the amount of living needed to gain the precious understanding to know how to live well, and how important it is in the struggle for freedom from the old ways, not to be limited by style or self-expectations, or to worry about what others may think, to be willing to do the really important things any way you can, even 3 steps at a time. Even 87 years, 100 years, we can know that it will move more quickly, but we move towards the greater vision And the great principles that are really spiritual principles, they are the same principles as our beloved science and mind philosophy that this nation was founded on. And I truly do believe that we will realize that vision. One person, one day, one experience, one intention at a time. So let's pray. Take in a nice deep centering breath, knowing that there is only one life, one God, and one experience in which we all move and live and have our being together, for we are all within this one life. Each and every person individualized in expression, but unified in life. We all live within the larger life, in the beauty of its love and wisdom and creativity, its compassion and its love and its peace and its momentum of continually expanding and embracing the new and yet to be and greater and higher vision. So I speak my word for and about each and every person that is on this call, each and every person that is not on this call, all life on our beloved planet itself. That there's a shift, new opening, a new way of seeing those last steps as we move gracefully, with gratitude, with joy into the what is yet to be and is already formed and ready within divine mind. We just put our attention on it and say yes to it as it flows through us into our experience individually and collectively. Oh, thank you, Spirit. Thank you, God. Thank you, Creator, for this ability to know the truth and to experience and express the truth in form. And in and through us individually, in and through all life collectively. We are one in it, and we get there together. So I just relax in this knowing that all is well. I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful for the opportunity to have been born in the United States of America and for the expanding vision in which I am endowed by my Creator to continue to express experience. So I relax in this knowing all is well and that these words now are true in consciousness and make their way into form. And we signify our agreement of this by saying together, and so it is. Well, happy birthday, the United States of America. What a wonderful thing to be a part of. And so this is also our time for sacred giving. If you are giving a financial gift to this center, see if I can find my, whoops. Here we go. Find my printout here. There we go. Sorry, that took a second. These are the ways in which you all know by now, I'm sure, that you can give to our center through Venmo. Look up our assistant minister's name, Leslie Massapust. You can give on Tidely, or you can mail a check directly to Jim Massapust, who's our assistant minister, and he'll deposit it right in our account. And he'll put that address up for you in the Zoom. And I invite you to imagine that you are holding your gift over your heart and your hand. Oh, and say the affirmation with me. I recognize that my gift is an instrument of the energy and love of God. As it flows from me, it uplifts and advances all life, including mine. I give and receive joyously. I am so grateful. And Leslie, do we have any announcements? And then Maureen can do the prayer and we'll sing our closing song.
About a month and a half ago, I shared with you that CSL was in the process of buying a property to serve as a retreat center and a camp. And they recently had an online concert where they raised $12,000. So the total they've now raised is 600,000, and they're extending the fundraising campaign to the end of July. The total that they need to move forward with this is $1.5 million. So you can go to CSL website and you'll find what's called CSL Camp and Capital Contribution campaign, and you can make a donation there. Tuesday evening at 6 o'clock is our spiritual inoculation get together, and we're going to be covering Living the Science of Mind, pages 336 and 37. And Reverend Michelle is going to be facilitating that. And then on Wednesday is the Principles and Practices class. And I believe it's the last class.
It is.
Okay, and that's being facilitated by Reverend Michelle and by Relaine Clark. Then a reminder to pray with the practitioner, either right after service, or you can see all the phone numbers and names on your newsletter that you receive every week. Are there any other announcements?
Well, I just wanted to say that the essay that I picked from the Living the Science of Mind to talk about on Tuesday evening is called Group Treatment. And I just thought it would be a powerful thing to kind of come together to explore the power of collective consciousness. And then after the Wednesday evening class, which is going to be our last class of the Spiritual Principles and Practices class, we're going to take a little break from Wednesday evening. We've been going at it hard for a long time. I just finished the 12th step of the Monday evening class, and so that's come to an end, which was really great. And I'll do it again now that we've learned so much, maybe in the fall. But I know that Maureen is going to maybe do a class mid-August to late August, something like that. So we'll keep you posted on that. But for about a month, we're going to take a little break from the Wednesday evening. We'll still do Tuesday evening because that's mostly just spiritual practice and discussion. It's not an ongoing thing. So we want to keep something open so we can touch base during the week. So we'll continue to do that. Thank you for understanding. Morgan.
Could you send us the essay?
Yes, I was going to say, and I forgot. Thank you for reminding me that I'll send you the essay. I'll copy it and scan it and send it to you.
And Maureen, we are ready for our benediction.
All right. Well, please, let's join me in consciousness once more. You can relax and close your eyes if you'd like. This is our time for the benediction. Good words for the upcoming. And I would just like to thank Ernest Holmes. Thank Ernest Holmes for his words today, especially when he said that security may come to all without loss of either personal freedom or individual self-expression. So thank you, Ernest. There is only the one, and he said it, we are one with this divine, all-knowing mind. We're one with all there is. And as such, it is our birthright, freedom, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. We are so blessed. And I give great gratitude for this country and this planet. I give great gratitude for this fellowship of One Heart, One Mind, and our ability to hold the vision, a greater vision of who and what we really are. And I know that we all open our hearts. We open our hearts and we step out from that fence. We lay the fence down and we step over it. And we keep on expanding and living a life of greater love and acceptance and inclusion. So I give great gratitude again for all that we have and all that we are, and knowing that we are the divine essence, the divine one, expressing. So I release my word. I know this is so, and together we say, and so
So
it
it
is.
So it is. Thank you so much. And we're going to end today with stand. I thought maybe the reason I picked stand is because this is what we stand for in the world. So that was my thinking. I'll post the lyrics here. And if you want to mute, you can just sing right along.
Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now.
Thank you, Richard. Appreciate it.